I didn't want a party. No banners, no balloons, no big announcements. I just wanted to walk across the stage, get my master's, and maybe have dinner with my family after. That's it. After 6 years of juggling full-time work, night classes, and helping at home when my dad got sick, I finally did it. I became the first person in my family to earn a graduate degree. I didn't think it would mean that much to anyone else, but it meant everything to me. So I kept it simple. I sent one email to my mom. Graduation's on the 12th. 2 p.m. ticket link below. She replied the next day. We'll figure something out. Proud of you. That was it. No follow-up. No, we'll be there. But I told myself they were busy. Probably working out schedules. Flights. Hotels. Logistics. I wanted to believe they'd show up. So I reserved 7 tickets. 1 for my mom, 2 for my sisters, 1 for my cousin, 1 for my best friend Jonah, who had been like a brother growing up, and 2 extra, just in case someone asked to bring a +1. I even chose aisle seats, mid-row, perfect view of the stage. As I picked up my cap and gown from the registrar's office, the woman behind the counter smiled and said, "Big day ahead. Family coming?" "Yeah," I said. "Should be a full row." I didn't say that I'd triple-checked the directions I sent them, or that I paid for the gown, photos, and ticket processing fees myself, or that I'd picked up extra parking passes, just in case. I'd saved all the money I had left after rent and bills to take them to dinner that night. I kept imagining the photo we'd take, all of them behind me, arms around each other, my mom beaming. For once, I wouldn't be just the one solving things. I'd be the one celebrated. Graduation day came. I got there early, heart pounding under the thick fabric of the robe. I checked my phone. No texts. No, we're on the way. Just silence. I walked into the hall and glanced at the row I'd reserved. 7 empty seats. Maybe traffic, I told myself. Maybe the ceremony will start a little late. It didn't. When they called my name, I stepped out, hands shaking. The applause sounded distant. I scanned the seats. Empty. All of them. No mom. No sisters. No cousin. No Jonah. I smiled for the camera anyway, clutching the diploma folder like it could hold me together. After the ceremony, I stood outside near the fountain, where everyone else was hugging their families, taking photos, laughing. I stood there with my unused tickets in one hand and a pit in my stomach. Still nothing on my phone. I walked home. Alone. I didn't cry. Not then. I just sat on the edge of my bed, still in my gown, watching the sky go dark outside my window. The silence felt louder than any rejection I'd ever heard out loud. I took off the cap and robe and laid them neatly on my chair, beside the envelope with my diploma. I didn't have the energy to eat. The restaurant I'd made the reservation at texted to ask if I was still coming. I didn't reply. Out of habit more than anything, I opened Instagram. I wasn't expecting anything. Just needed the mindless scroll. And that's when I saw it. A photo. My cousin Tasha had posted it an hour earlier. Family weekend in the Vineyard Wine Glass Revolving Arts. I stared at it, heart slamming against my ribs. My mom was there, front and center, holding up a wine glass. My sisters flanked her, smiling. Jonah had his arm around one of them, laughing. The caption continued. Much needed recharge with my favorite people to arts. They weren't just busy. They weren't just running late. They'd planned a trip. Together. On my graduation day. I kept scrolling. Another post. This time a boomerang of them clinking glasses under a wooden arch. The sign above read, "Cheers to new beginnings." My chest burned. I almost dropped my phone. And then I saw it. A comment thread that looked like it was supposed to be private. Probably a group chat someone accidentally replied to publicly. He didn't really want to fuss anyway. Honestly, he acts like he's better than us lately. Let him be the lone wolf. He's used to it. I clicked on the photo again, trying to understand. That resort. The sign. It all looked familiar. Then it hit me. I'd paid for it. Months ago, my mom mentioned wanting a wellness weekend for her birthday. Said it would mean a lot to her. That everyone would chip in. She picked the resort. I offered to put it on my card since I had a good credit line. They said they'd pay me back once they pulled the money. That was this trip. $3,700. I'd saved up for it over months, skipping meals, taking on an extra tutoring gig. And while I walked across a stage to empty seats, they were sipping wine under a sign I paid for. I closed the app. I didn't scream. I didn't call. I didn't text. There was no confrontation. Instead, I opened my laptop, pulled up my credit card portal. found the charge for the resort, and clicked Dispute Transaction. When it asked for a reason, I wrote, Unauthorized use. Promised reimbursement never received. Then I opened a photo from graduation, the one the school sent me. I was standing alone on stage, smiling tightly. I edited it just slightly, cropped it to center me, brightened the colors, and then I posted it. Caption: They said they'd come. They didn't. But I still walked across that stage. For me, I turned off my phone, sat in the quiet. For the first time that day, I let myself cry. When I turned my phone back on the next morning, the notifications were stacked like bricks on my screen. Messages, tags, mentions, even emails. At first, I thought maybe someone was mad, that my post had hit a nerve. But when I opened the app, it wasn't anger I saw. It was something else entirely. Hundreds of likes, dozens of comments, all strangers, all saying the same thing. This hit me harder than I expected. I walked alone too. My mom skipped mine to go to my brother's soccer game. First-gen pain. I feel you. And buried in the messages, one that made me stop breathing for a second. Would you be willing to come on our podcast and talk about this? We're doing a series on first-generation students. Your story is powerful. It was from a producer at a well-known education podcast I listened to during late-night study marathons. I blinked at the message for a long time, then typed back, yes, I'd be honored. By the end of the day, 2 more interview requests came in. A community scholarship page shared my post. Someone in the comments suggested starting a GoFundMe to give this man the graduation celebration he deserves. I didn't want money. I hadn't posted for pity. But the validation, it did something I hadn't expected. It made me feel seen. And that's when the text from my family started. Tasha, hey, can you call me? I think there's been a misunderstanding. My sister Nina. Wow. So you're just airing dirty laundry for attention now. Jonah, look man, you didn't even say you wanted us there. Don't act like we ghosted you. My mom finally chimed in that evening. Can we talk? Please don't do this online. It's embarrassing. You're smarter than that. Not I'm sorry. Not I wish we'd been there. Just damage control. I didn't respond. Not to any of them. I wasn't trying to embarrass anyone. I wasn't even angry anymore. I was just done. Something had shifted in me. Something quiet but final. I spent so much of my life hoping to be noticed, to be taken seriously, to not be the family errand boy who was only called when someone needed help with a job application or a rent bailout. I paid for birthday trips, took late-night calls when people got dumped or lost jobs or needed rides. I wrote resumes for free, did taxes, edited essays, and when it came time for them to show up for me, not to save me, not to fix anything, just to be there, they couldn't be bothered. I didn't need apologies. I needed distance. The chargeback was approved 2 days later. Full refund. The podcast episode aired a week after that. They titled it, The Seat That Stayed Empty. It got shared thousands of times. I kept reading the comments. Stories like mine. Loneliness echoing back in voices from across the country. And that's when the idea hit me. What if I wasn't the only one who needed a row of chairs no one would ever fill? What if there were others, students, graduates, even teenagers, who deserved someone to show up? And what if I could be that someone? The idea wouldn't leave me alone. It started small, just a note in my phone titled Reserved Seat Fund. A basic thought, help people like me, give something back. But the more I sat with it, the more it grew. That weekend, I skipped my usual errands and stayed home sketching out plans. I wasn't rich, but I'd just gotten the $3,700 refund. It felt poetic, taking the money they used to toast each other and repurposing it into something that actually meant something. I bought a domain, designed a simple site. Nothing fancy, just a landing page with one photo. Me in my cap and gown, draped over the back of a chair, empty seats all around. I called it Seat Reserved. And the tagline? For the ones who showed up anyway. I made a small mission statement underneath. We're here for the students who clap for themselves. The ones who walk alone, who celebrate in silence, who carry generations on their shoulders and still aren't asked how it felt when they crossed the finish line. This is for you. I launched a micro-scholarship application, just $200 each. Enough for a graduation outfit, or to cover a missed work shift to attend the ceremony, or buy a frame for their diploma. I figured I could fund 15 or so with the money I had. Maybe a few more if people donated. Then I shared the link on my socials with one line. If you ever had to clap alone, this is for you. I expected a few likes, a couple of "this is beautiful" comments. But within 48 hours, it exploded. People started tagging their friends, their cousins, their students. The donation link hit $10,000 by day 3. Teachers reached out asking if they could nominate their students. A retired professor sent $1,000 with a note. "I wish this existed when I graduated. You're doing holy work." I read every message, every story. People like me. Forgotten. Ignored. Resilient anyway. A high school senior wrote. "I haven't told anyone I'm graduating because no one came last year when I got my GED. But I'm still walking. Thank you for this. I approved your scholarship on the spot." A week later, I sat on a panel for first-gen college students. The host introduced me as founder of the Seat Reserved initiative. I looked out at the audience and saw rows of young faces, some smiling, some tired, all of them there. After the talk, a girl came up and hugged me. "I didn't think anyone noticed us," she whispered. "Not really." I swallowed the lump in my throat and told her, "I see you. You're not alone." When I got home that night, I opened a message from my mom. It said, "I didn't think it mattered that much. We didn't mean to hurt you." I stared at it, thought about replying. I didn't. Some wounds don't need stitching. They just need to stay open long enough to remind you why you'll never go back. The weeks after launching Seat Reserved were a blur. Between media requests and scholarship applications, I barely had time to process everything. Suddenly, I was talking to news anchors about quiet neglect and generational loneliness. I was a face for something I'd once tried to hide. But I still went to work each day, still juggled the bills. The difference was how people spoke to me, how strangers sent messages like, "I wish you'd been around when I needed someone in my corner." Not everyone was happy. My cousin Tasha DM'd me. "Can you please stop making us look bad? You're blowing this out of proportion." Jonah left a voicemail. "It wasn't personal, man. We thought you'd understand. You're the strong one." The words made my jaw clench. All my life, I've been the strong one, the responsible one. That was always the excuse. I took care of everyone, so nobody ever thought to take care of me. If I expressed hurt, it was drama. If I went silent, I was moody. If I spoke up now, it was airing dirty laundry. But I kept going. Seat Reserved wasn't just about scholarships anymore. It became a place where people left messages for each other, notes to the kid in the back row or my future self. I started a tiny mentorship circle, meeting with 3 students over Zoom every Sunday. We talked about more than school, about missing parents, the ache of being overlooked, the anger that flares up when you see others getting what you needed most. One night, after a call, I sat in the quiet and finally let myself admit the truth. I'd always believed if I did everything right, they'd notice. That my family's love was something to be earned, not freely given. It had taken a decade and a public humiliation to see how wrong that was. People kept asking if I was angry. I was. But not the kind of anger that wants to burn the house down. It was a colder thing, steady, sad, unmovable. I didn't want revenge. I wanted release. That weekend, my mom tried calling again. The phone vibrated for a long time. For once, I didn't answer. I went for a walk instead, through the park, watching other families set up picnics, laughing, kids racing across the grass. I felt a pang sharp, but fading. I thought about that empty row of seats at graduation, how much it had hurt, but also how light I'd felt when I walked off that stage and realized I'd done it. Alone. Maybe that's what healing looked like. Not a celebration, not a crowd. Just being able to say, "I'm proud of myself, even if nobody else ever claps." Word about Seat Reserved kept spreading. I got emails from people in places I'd never heard of, small towns in Iowa, cities in the Philippines, a university in South Africa. Some just wrote a line or two. "Thank you." I walked alone too. Others poured out their stories, years of being overlooked, parents missing every milestone, family treating their achievements like an inconvenience or an afterthought. I read every single one. Sometimes they made me angry on their behalf. Sometimes I had to close my laptop and step outside just to breathe. But there was hope too. One mom wrote to say she'd never missed a ceremony, but after reading my story, she hugged her daughter tighter. A teacher asked if I'd do a video call to surprise her class. People donated enough to fund dozens more scholarships. We started shipping out little gift packages to students, cards, confetti, reserved, signed for them to take photos with on graduation day. The foundation had become more than a cause. It was a community, a stubborn, shining corner of the internet where nobody had to clap alone. One afternoon, I got an email from a scholarship recipient named David. I brought your sign to my ceremony. My dad still didn't come, but I sat that card right next to me and felt like maybe, just maybe, someone saw me. Thank you. Sometimes I look at the site and the photo that started it all, my cap and gown over a chair, empty seats behind, and feel that old ache. But it wasn't as sharp. What had once been evidence of abandonment had become a symbol for something different, survival and self-respect. But as seat reserved grew, my family's silence hardened into something else. They stopped reaching out. Birthdays passed with no texts. I saw photos of them together, Tasha's engagement, my sister's new apartment. I wasn't tagged. I wasn't invited. If I called, it went a voicemail. I'd spent my life begging to be included. Now, for the first time, I realized I didn't miss it. I didn't feel small. I didn't wonder what I'd done wrong. The emptiness was cleaner, quieter, not so full of longing. I made new friends, some local, some from the seat reserved network. I started meeting for coffee with Jonah, just the two of us, both of us careful and a little awkward. It wasn't the same. Maybe it never would be. But it was honest. I stopped looking for family where there was only obligation. And in the mirror, day by day, I saw someone else. Someone who finally felt enough. Not for what he did, but for surviving, for showing up, even when no one else did. I don't know when it shifted, exactly, the sense that I was building something not just in spite of being left out, but because of it. Maybe it was the night I got a message from a first-generation grad in Brazil, thanking me for reserving a seat for the invisible. Maybe it was seeing the collage of students, caps on, holding up that little, reserved card, smiling for their own cameras, not waiting for someone else to bear witness. Maybe it was just the quiet morning I woke up and realized I didn't dread family holidays anymore. I still have the photo. The one of me alone in my robe, empty seats behind. Sometimes I think about taking it down, like it's a wound I should let close. But I keep it up on the site, not as a scar, but a promise. That chair is always open for the person I was, and for anyone else who needed to see it. I get messages every week now. Sometimes people send photos of their own empty rows. Sometimes it's just a sentence, I clapped for myself today, and that's enough. The fund keeps growing. We give out more scholarships, bigger ones now. Sometimes we help with rent or books or travel to a far-off campus, so someone can walk that stage for themselves. Every now and then, my mom will text. She never mentions graduation. Sometimes it's just a hope you're well. Sometimes nothing for months. I answer when I feel like it. I don't explain, don't rehash, don't ask why. The family I wanted, unconditional, present, never really existed. But the community I've found, the people who choose to show up, who know what it means to sit alone and still rise. They're more real than anything I could have imagined when I was the boy waiting in the crowd for someone to call his name. I don't need a full row of chairs anymore. One is enough, as long as I'm in it. And if anyone else ever finds themselves staring at empty seats, wondering if it was all worth it, I hope they see my story and know. Showing up for yourself is more than enough. And sometimes, it's the bravest thing you'll ever do.